Choices Global, a production of First Assembly of God, Wortmanville, Georgetown, Guyana. As we continue to cultivate conversations pertinent to nation building, today our topic for discussion is growing Guyana's economy, creating opportunities for SMEs. Our panelists are Siobhan Corbin, a finance expert and FCCA working with an international financing institution in Switzerland. Ruth Jeffers, the Chief Financial Officer and Human Resources Officer at DHL, after serving for 26 years and pursuing her studies in accountancy. Outside of DHL, she owns and manages several investment properties. Adiel Rochevelle, she's currently an actuarial analyst at the Bank of Guyana with qualifications from the University of Guyana and the University of the West Indies in mathematics and actuarial science, respectively. Shumar Thomas, a University of Guyana graduate in the field of electrical engineering and a manager of three businesses, two of which he is the proprietor. And yours truly, your moderator, Samantha Edwards. Panelists, welcome. During 2022, the World Bank had projected Guyana's GDP growth rate for 2023 of at least 34%, which translates to almost 100% growth rate when compared to 2021. This is significantly higher than the rest of the world. So today I would like us to critically examine the business landscape being created for SMEs to generate wealth. So, to start us off with our first question, I'm thinking with the influx of oil revenue, we've already begun to see and witness developmental works, and quite a few more is expected based on our last national budget. We heard of road projects, and we currently have a lot of those being undertaken. Our harbor bridge, which is supposed to be replaced, new schools, etc. So, what do those growth indicators, mean for Guyana as a country and for SMEs? What are your thoughts? Uh, Adiel, you want to share?
What does it mean for Guyana as a country? Coined in one word, opportunities. And if you're actually up to date with the news right now, you will see different ones being influenced by the unprecedented growth that we will be experiencing. Well, we are forecasted to experience. And these can come out, well, we're going to benefit from those partnerships. Only in January, we had a cohort coming from Jamaica with their leaders from their top businesses, and they came to establish partnerships because they want to benefit. And it doesn't only have to be one sided. When we have countries like Jamaica and Trinidad and Barbados, we can benefit from what they have as well. So, in the case of Jamaica, Jamaica is known as the technological giant in the Caribbean. So when they come to benefit from our growth from our oil or natural resource or newly found natural resource, we can benefit from their ideas surrounding technology and innovation, and all of that will help to grow the economy at a faster rate or an even higher projected rate. And speaking about the projected growth rate, I know that you would have mentioned 34%, and I think this was the initial figure earlier in the year of 2022. But coming down to the end, the World Bank actually would have published a report in November and also in January, stating that the figure has now come down to about 25.2%, which is still relatively high compared to the rest of the economies in the world. And what I found interesting when I was checking up on some of the data, Guyana is the anomaly in the Caribbean with respect to the growth rate, because the other territories, they are growing at a much slower rate, and we are, as a, well, the Caribbean exempting us, it's predicted that there will be a slowdown due to inflation, and the economy is making different adjustments for that. So currently, the 25.2% that's predicted for 2023, it's very high. And we're seeing the effects of it with different ones coming here. Um, so back to the opportunities. So we can benefit from the partnerships, and we also would benefit from the insurance agency. Well, the insurance market would grow as well, because we will have different oil companies wanting to come here. So therefore, they will be seeking insurance brokers, reinsurance. So probably the insurance agent sector, that can also, people can, sorry, people can explore that avenue as well. So yeah, thanks.
Well, if I could jump in, I like the perspective that Adiel has given, and I take the watchword of opportunity, and I believe this is what this program is intended to share with its viewers, which are the opportunities and the positive news coming out of Guyana that we can discourse on and contrast with, other emerging or developing economies. When I think, Samantha, and to the team here, about the phenomenal growth that Guyana is experiencing, what I see in what I want to share in layman terms is that growth should equal development, and development should be looked at from a national perspective, but also from a family and community perspective. And so when we see growth, Samantha, I heard you speak about health and roads being built. So it's about using the income that the government gains to provide the right infrastructure, whether it's health, whether it's education, public infrastructure, internet, which is critical for businesses in the digital age. But more than that, at the community level, we must feel that growth. We must feel it in employment, so that persons can earn and take home and take care of their families. We must see it in education, so that if you see one generation did not make it to the tertiary or university level, we must now look at our families and say, yes, I have seen growth in my country, because I can now send my children off to university without the strain that my parents experienced. And so, in layman terms, I see growth as an opportunity to develop communities across Guyana. And oftentimes, a country that is considered wealthy is not a country where the ultra rich are controlling all of the resources, ultra rich or large organizations, but where the middle class is so large that there is a very small gap between the ultra rich and the poor. And so, as you mentioned, small and medium enterprises or SMEs, this is where I see a vehicle for true growth to be transformed or evidenced in Guyana, where we don't see the ultra rich or the huge companies only gaining, but we see small and medium enterprises also sharing in the wealth, in the production, and transferring that wealth onto families. I know that both Ruth and Shamar are owners of businesses in their own rights, despite working in other areas or industries. But this is where I believe SMEs are a vehicle that we as government and we as citizens of Guyana or any other developing nation should focus on, in order to transform or transfer wealth from the national level to the community and family or individual level. I don't know what the others think.
Before anyone
Just to add
jumps in, Shamar, hold on that thought before Adiel breaks. Adi, you mentioned Jamaica being one of the countries who've shown interest, and we would have read of several others. But the thought crossed my mind: do you think that that can create some intimidation for small businesses? And also, anyone can jump into. Do you think education is needed to sensitize of the benefits, like Adi mentioned, partnerships and learning from the technology that we may not be privy to? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Should small business here start to panic, thinking, "Oh, these people are coming to take over our businesses"? What advice do you give to those persons? And do you think we need to educate our small business owners? Anyone can jump in.
Based on all that's happening at this point and where Guyana is going and the path that is set before us, there are countless opportunities. And what I like about what is available is not just like Siobhan said, where it's just the large companies can benefit. Small businesses and medium businesses can benefit, but they need to be positioned. The others are coming as giants. They have walked this before, they've been exposed before, they have dabbled in it before. The small businesses can do the same but on a different level. However, we have to be equipped with the information. We have to know what is out there. We have to know how to serve. We have to know what is expected of us. We have to know how we can get into different avenues. All of that speaks to knowledge. Once we have that, then we will learn of the rules and learn of the ins and outs in order to make a mark and be rewarded.
To add to that, she's perfectly right. I don't believe that the small and medium businesses in Guyana should be afraid of it. I mean, oftentimes we fear things that we don't understand. And the information is there. Simple reading. I mean, I did some research on Small Business Bureau. Now, this is a company that's been in Guyana, not necessarily a company or organization, rather, it's been in Guyana for a number of years. And they offer grants, they offer loans. Now, oftentimes for businesses, persons are afraid because they start to study where they're going to get the funding from. IPED as well, and so many other financial institutions. But to hit directly to the point of being fearful, they should not, because there are a vast amount of opportunities that small and medium businesses can tap into, in the especially within the support sector. Now, the funding small business might not have to be a part, be one of the oil giants. But these companies come here and they often need support in so many areas, as simple as it might seem as water. I know of business who would have grown their profit margins for oil companies that are currently in Ghana, and all they practically do is support these companies by transporting stuff as simple as toilet paper and water to these ships, right? As much as it might seem, oh, just transport, there is profit in these arenas. There's profit in so many different arenas. But once persons take that time to just analyze, look at what they need, and just spend some time saying, here, I can probably fill in this here in that area, they can be very impactful. Adding to what Samantha would have mentioned along the lines of learning. In my time at UG, oftentimes I did electrical engineering, and we generally joke that it was the toughest engineering field there is. But then when we look at what Ghana has to offer and what we've been taught, it was like, hey, most of the things we learn, there's not room for it. There was little encouragement for us to actually challenge ourselves. For instance, the robotic industry. Now, the robotic industry is big when it comes to manufacturing, because why, it's more efficient, it's more effective. It's not to say that there is not much need for that manpower, but at the same time, there is great need for understanding and learning within that industry. So with the new companies coming, piggybacking off of what Adiel would have said as well, we can learn from them. And it's not to say that we're incapable, but with these larger companies coming, ideas now that are going to pitch, that before would have seemed a bit far fetched, or that there isn't scope for it currently in Ghana, with these companies who are familiar with these things, for instance, like what I spoke of robotics, and small can start there as well, right? Students who might just be leaving the university and within these different fields, within the IT field, can come together and even start businesses along that line. So I honestly don't see any need for fear. but more of excitement of how Guyanese, especially within the small and medium business sectors, can benefit.
Okay.
Spot on. And if I just further add a little bit, it would
Go
be,
right
I
ahead.
mean, spot on with Shamar and Ruth. Um, Also, I think that would be a very good opportunity for the government to possibly set up workshops for people who have small businesses, but they probably didn't have the opportunity to educate themselves on topics like business management or how to manage finances. And it really doesn't have to be as packed as the syllabus at the university is, but essential so that they can function and they wouldn't feel. I think if they are educated and they have some sort of, okay, you'd have a certificate after, it's like, yeah, we know what we're doing, so there's no need to feel intimidated by these companies. Yeah, you have your degrees, but we have been exposed to the requisite knowledge for running and actually surviving in an economy with this. So,
I think
yes.
Shamar, thanks, Eddie. I think Shamar piqued my brain because the next question I had in mind, I was thinking about asking you, how can business owners, and I'm thinking here those who are already in like Ruth and Shamar, and also persons who are new now want to tap in. What are some practical examples, if you can think of, anyone can jump in, of new areas that you see emerging from this rebranded oil economy, or some new opportunities? Shamar, I mean, you started to touch a little, but anyone want to expand a little more? There's someone
That
in our audience who's thinking, how can I tap into this new move?
that's an amazing question. That's an amazing question. Um, I love business as much as my studies would have been along the lines of technical. I have a great, deep desire, passionate love for business. And young people, as I speak with them, I generally tell them when starting a business, I use two models practically. One, you look for a problem, you find a solution, and you charge for it. Very simple model. And there's so many problems you can find. The problem can be something major. I mean, it's curing a disease, or it could be as simple as saying, "Hey, let me provide a service that would offer convenience," and that's all it's really offering. It's offering convenience. There are so many, let's say, bill payment options, and this is not directly tacked, to that question, but at the same time, it is as simple as bill payment might be. I might be living in a large community, and it takes me 15 minutes using a motor vehicle to get to the nearest bill payment location. Now, I can probably invest, I don't know, less than $100,000, probably build something where I'm living. I've been living in this area for 10 years, 20 years. And you can develop bill payment options. But to directly answer the question, real estate. Real estate, and not to make it sound so far fetched, but that is a rapidly growing industry in Guyana. That would be my simple answer to that question. Real estate is one area, and along the lines of support, not just necessarily tackling the oil companies themselves, but there are going to be so many other companies that are going to be coming on board with Ghana that is going to need support in so many areas. Because as much as we might be looking at real estate that you might have a downstairs that you can probably enclose and then you rent it, but there are going to be companies that are going to come that are going to jump on board within the hotel arena. Now, when you start doing hotels, there are going to be so many things to create a hotel. You need persons within the IT department that's going to do the networking, that's going to eliminate your Wi-Fi dead zone, that is knows how to manage within the different ISPs in Ghana. You're going to need the electrical guys to do your wiring and your maintenance. You're going to need chefs. You are going to need The musicians are going to have a part to play when it comes to entertainment, the craft industry, because I mean, as simple as it is, you walk into a hotel, and what adds to the ambiance of it is not just the lighting, but you look at the artwork that oftentimes might seem like, hey, which part of the world is this, and so forth. So, because of these major companies that might be coming in, if I'm to say, to simply answer it, not to be so long winded, what persons can look at, think about the big companies that are going to come, the easy ones, the hotel industry, the shipping industry, and then you think of what will these companies need to start, and what part can I play? I might be good with my hands, I might be really good at thinking, so I can say, hey, I'll start a company that does, let's say, like project management, or I can develop a business that deals with um, that would be event management, because I'm good at organizing and prioritizing, and that doesn't call for much investment when it comes to having physical things on hand. You are just utilizing your brain power, and from there you can afford to start a business. If that answers the question.
Because you're the only male on the program, you're allowed to speak as long as you want. Every other person, I will. Siobhan or Ruth, are you going to take this one?
So I want to say that there is a simple answer to this. Rather than what I've learned is rather than sitting to rock your brains and try to figure out what to do, simply avail yourself to join the sessions that the oil and gas industries have. They have several meets and several forums. And when you attend, you learn of all that they need. And in those sessions, at least for me, it rocks your mind to say, who would have thought something as simple as this is demanded or is needed and it is not addressed or it is neglected? But there are countless opportunities for very, very simple things. So the large giants can run after the big slice of the cake, but the small and medium businesses have so many options, whether it is supplying meals, supplying toiletries, supplying um, services for transportation, for protocol, simple things that we might not have been thinking about because, oil speaks to a lot and it's large. And so we're thinking big. But if we position ourselves in those sessions, they tell us exactly what is out there. They tell us what we can tap into. And then all we need to do is to equip ourselves to collect it. It's right there. The information is there.
Ruth, just a follow up. You mentioned sessions for the benefit of our viewers. How do we become aware of these sessions? Is it on the social media platform, or do you have to sign up with these companies and they send you emails?
Actually, I find it right on social media. I don't know of the preset platforms that you should go on, but I learn of it from right there on social media. And so that's how the staff in our organization would be positioned to attend because social media has so many advantages, and rather than just scrolling and minding the people's business, we can learn so many things. So I have learned that from social media, being the ministries and so on. I follow all of their pages, and so they will put those things out there. Natural resources, the Ministry of Natural Resources, and so on. They put it there on their social media pages.
Awesome. Siobhan,
For
were
me
you
to
going to
add,
chime in?
if I may.
Yes, I was definitely going to, but Shamar, maybe I join
Yes,
in
I'm
and then I let Shamar react.
Mar being the only male, so I allow him to speak and then you, Siobhan.
To add to what Ruth said, out after these opportunities are presented to you, I would recommend that our viewers check out Small Business Group, their website, their page. In the research I would have done, financial institutions in Guyana, some of them, they are reluctant in some areas to offer loans to small businesses because of the high risk of failure and also because of the lack of collateral. And Oftentimes, as much as when the financial institutions look at your business proposals, there's so many things that they are looking for that it lacks. But small business bureau, they have what you call a business incubator, where they help you to develop. They offer advice, they offer support, business strategies, generic stuff like records keeping, financial management. They also offer entrepreneurial awareness sessions, which it's more of a iron sharpen iron kind of scenario where you learn from the entrepreneurs, and it's not just having the business and managing it, but also the mindset that you need to develop. So after you would have join the sessions that the oil sectors would offer so that you know exactly where to target. The next thing I would recommend that you need to do is be able to be ready for business, because as much as there's beauty in it, there's also a lot that is required of the individual, because oftentimes you sometimes are the only one there when you're now starting. So there is a mindset that you need to develop, routines, disciplines that you need to adopt in order to be able to survive within the business arena. Because two things business that I would say that business thrive on is quality of product and consistency of service. Thanks.
Go right ahead, Siobhan.
I'm just enjoying Shamar's reflections, but I'll pick on one of the words that he used, and that was mindset. I think when I look at the rebranded oil and gas economy that Guyana has, I'm liking the suggestions from Ruth and Shamar and even from Adiel to say that, hey, in our economy, it's not just about oil, it's about the support services. And I think this is where Ruth was going when she says, go sit and listen. I think one of the big areas that we have as an opportunity is around logistics. I think with the oil companies looking for us to supply many things, we're going to learn how to do tenders. We're going to learn how to, like we say, supply the hotel industry, supply the oil industry, provide accommodations. This means converting our homes to bread and breakfast settings. And I think we have a unique opportunity to provide even services to, to families who may want to convert their homes. I think we as Guyanese will need to start contemplating the decisions that I've seen in Switzerland and Geneva, where I live, whereby persons live further away from the city, in not simpler homes, but just a distance away, and they leave their prime property for renting out so that they gain revenue. So I think logistics is one area in which Guyana will benefit and will have opportunities. And what we should be looking at second is that the rebranded oil economy is also shedding a light on Guyana. And it means people now know who we are, where we are, and what we can produce. And so I would want to challenge our viewers, challenge our government, and challenge decision makers in business to not only look at the services we can provide in Guyana to those coming in, but also look at how we can leverage this new skill set that we're gaining, whether it's in IT, whether it's in logistics and other areas, to then produce so that we can export, because we definitely need to start leveraging our small and medium enterprises to scale the services that we have so that we can then share it with the world. Because if we only manage or capture the services needed in Guyana, we are still thinking small and limiting ourselves. But I want to challenge us to go one step further to say, as we develop the expertise, we develop the logistics, how do we then scale production that we have in Guyana to export, whether it's our vegetables or our fruits, whether it's our craft, as Shamar spoke about, and whether it's our hospitality and protocol and all these other expertise that we do have. And I want to come back to the first comment we made about Jamaica being the IT giant in the Caribbean, and whether we should see it as being fear or a fair opportunity. And I hope that we will see it as an opportunity where we share knowledge in the Caribbean so that we individually make our countries better, give ourselves a bigger opportunity to compete on the world stage. And if I come back to the logistics, I see a huge opportunity with the post office. Ruth is managing at DHL. And I'm pretty sure that without competing with the post office, there are massive opportunities for exporting, but we don't have the supply chain or the logistics right now. If people saw our pepper, if people saw our dried mangoes, if people saw our achar and our casrip and other kinds of things that we may have, there is still a limitation, even for me to get it in Switzerland. And so I would want to challenge us to really look at our logistics. And I believe Ruth is one of those persons in a very unique place to see, to share, and to teach others about how they can leverage logistics for expanding their own businesses.
Okay, we are running low on time, but Siobhan, I want to push you a little further, maybe within a minute and a half. You being the only one living in the diaspora among us today, is and you were home recently also. Can you think of anything in terms of quality or mindsets that you think as Guyanese we need to work on immediately if we are really going to make a mark? Shipmar did mention that one of the critical things in business is quality. Comparing the first world or more developed nation where you live and us, what are some things you or you saw that you think you really can improve on? And I mean, we're open to
Well,
the not too thick, but
yeah, I think I'd first want to celebrate. I'd like to celebrate the fact that I saw development in infrastructure, in the roads, even in service, in the service industry. We have such wide variety of restaurants and menus available. Tour operators, there were several on call so that you could transition from the capital city to our beautiful interior. So those are the things I'd like to celebrate. I believe the one area where I see not a challenge, but really an opportunity is really around leveraging IT. And that is because everything I see in the first world leverages IT to be more efficient. I sit at my home and pay all my bills. I sit at home and I make huge transfers from my bank account. And though I know Guyana has online banking, there are still some limitations. I stay from my home and I send Western Union. I don't need to get out, to the mall or to a Western Union location to do that. And so I remember recently having to do a legal transaction, and I was asked to come into the lawyer's office, and I said, no, can you send me the document on email? I will review and I will share my comments, and then signature I can always sign and send back. And I think that is where the mindset of Guyana and maybe laws need to be changed so that we sometimes accept emailed documents as original. So I would say leveraging IT, and also because it has an impact on labor. If Guyana is supposed to boom in terms of not only service industry but manufacturing, we will need more manpower, and 700,000 people will not do it. If you look at Nigeria, 200 million people, we are nowhere near the capacity of labor we have. And I see the president actually signaling shortage of skilled labor recently. So IT, I believe, is the opportunity that we need to leverage going forward.
awesome. Thank you. And we are out of time, but we are nowhere finished. So thank you to our panelists. Today's discourse did produce a lot of insightful perspectives on the topic of Guyana's economy. We are not able to cover all that we wanted to discuss, but we will do so in our next episode. To our viewers, thank you for joining us from whichever part of the world you're located. Please keep in touch with us via faogw.org and our YouTube channel, Choices Global. Join us again on February 26th. Until we meet again next time, stay safe.